After working a decade in attachment style theory, here are 6 reasons why avoidance will return. And the very first reason is a very important one, because if this happens, the next 5 points aren't going to mean anything because it's not something that they can pull themselves out of. The very first one is, you know for a fact that there's not another person. Now, there's not really a way for you to tell that. I mean, there are signs, there are people that, will be able to even confide in you about what they're doing. But why this is the most important one is because when they're in this stage of the honeymoon, when they're in this limerence stage, they don't see anything else. They don't see anything to the left or the right. And this has something to do with many attachment styles. This doesn't even have to be just dismissive avoidance or fearful avoidance. This can be anyone that's even secure. When you're in this new relationship, you have these blinders on. So these next points won't mean anything. The second one is they have gone through that relief stage of the relationship. For the first couple months, someone that's a dismissive avoidant in particular or a fearful avoidant, they have to go through this relief period of 2 weeks to 3 months before they can start seeing you differently than they saw at the end of that relationship. Because at the end, they felt like it was a whole lot of pressure in that relationship. They felt that they had to show up a certain way. They created these narratives that may not even necessarily be true. So when they're going through that, they just kind of numb themselves out and get busy with different hobbies. There's a plane going by, so I apologize. When they eventually get through that phase, now this could be different for many different people. I know when people reach out to me and they book calls, they want to know specifically when. And I'm like, everyone's different. Depends on their level of attachment, their level of avoiding attachment. But for the most part, what I've seen is people go through it within that time frame. The third reason why they would come back, they finally start to feel that loss in their life. When they get through that relief phase, that's when they get to that loss of reminiscing and trying to figure out what it is that went wrong in that relationship. If they have another person in their life, that's going to severely skew that. It's going to break it. I mean, it could be 5 years before you hear back from them after they had a kid, after they went and got married to someone else. But if they don't have another person, like I said, this all comes under the umbrella of not being another relationship. They take the time to analyze what they did in that relationship and what you did and what was real and what was fake. It could have been just a lot of pressure that they were feeling, but they do feel that loss and that emptiness of whatever it is that you meant to them in their life. The fourth one is an important one also. You stop chasing them. If you chase after them, it's going to make them want to close down even more. It's going to make them want to get away from you and stop. They see it as like they're being manipulated into being back into something they don't want to be in anymore. Dismissive avoidants are historically independent people. So if you're trying to take their independence and their freedom of choice away from them, they're not going to want to interact with you. They're not going to want to feel that guilt that, someone that's a dismissive avoidant do feel. They do feel guilt and they do feel shame. So if they have someone that's in their face that's constantly saying, just give me another chance, please can we make this work, it's going to make them feel overwhelmed. I had someone tell me that it feels like their skin's like crawling when someone is doing that to them because they feel like they're being trapped, almost like claustrophobic in that relationship. And they just don't want to feel that anymore. The fifth reason is they start to feel the nostalgia of their relationship. So one of the things that dismissive avoidance do is they'll send things from the past. They'll send like memories. They'll send Facebook, Instagram memories, Snapchat. I don't even know if Instagram has memories, but Snapchat memories for sure. And they'll do this in a way that makes them not seem like they're being vulnerable, but they actually are. Those are times when they're starting to feel that nostalgia and the things that they're missing in their life, especially around certain holidays and around certain, I guess you'll see them start wearing different clothes that you bought them. And it all brings them back to this place of just pure happiness at that moment. But this one thing in particular is something that, for dismissive avoidance in particular, is they're notorious for, in my opinion, from what I've seen. They're notorious for doing that because they aren't able to replace what they had in their life. So it makes them go back and think about things that really meant a lot to them, which leads me to my last one, which is the comparison. They have gone out and they've compared you to a bunch of different people in their life. They tried to date, they tried to replace you, but it just wasn't able to happen. It didn't happen in a manner that either happened quickly enough or they got themselves burned out way too quick and burned through that honeymoon relationship that brought them to the real meat and potatoes of what their relationship, I guess, was built on. And if it was built on them trying to escape, on them trying to numb and trying not to just feel what they were losing in you, or if they were trying to just run away from that emptiness and what I hear a lot from people when they get into new relationships that don't take the time to process is they feel lonely, and their loneliness causes for them to try to seek out new adventures and new people. But when all the comparison happens in that new relationship, they're going to bring them back to this feeling of, I just kind of miss what I had before.